All right, let's talk about Yakuza Kiwami 2. So last year I beat Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami 1, and I'm at this point I'm a Like a Dragon fan. I really like the series, and hopefully this year I intend to play all of them. That is a very daunting task, but you know, for the most part, I focus on main objectives and just do side stuff if I actually like it. That is why I've pretty much never touched mahjong. I just don't like it. Call me a fake fan if that's what you so choose. But yes, it is a skill issue. I just don't like it. But I love the story. I adore these games, and I am not familiar with them at all. I am not an RPG guy. 2024 was my year of RPGs. You know, I played Thousand Year Door, I played Yakuza, I played uh, some other ones that I can't think of off the top of my head. And I have been able to actually get a foothold in the genre that I previously could not play for more than 10 minutes without being confused or bored. It was just really, really hard for me. But this series essentially got me in the door because I think that, at first playing through Zero, I was really bored with just all the reading and I just really wasn't vibing with it. But once you get past that 4 hour mark, I think you really start to understand the kind of game that it is. And I think it's kind of almost for anybody. I think anybody can play these games. I really do mean that. At least anybody that's familiar with gaming. And Yakuza Kiwami 2 was no different. I think the graphics are a huge uptick. I think playing through Zero and Kiwami, which together are like, almost an 80-hour experience, and then going to Kiwami 2 is such a big jump in graphics, even though, it is essentially just a PS4 game. I am not sure how I feel about the ragdolls and some of the physics in this game. I think they were still figuring out the engine. I've heard similar sentiments before, so I think that um, though I won't make it there very soon, I think Yakuza 6 is the next game in this engine. I'm sure by that point, and Judgment and uh, Like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth, I'm sure they figured it all out. So yeah, it's not really a short. It's not like game ruining, but there are definitely times when just ragdolls fly all over the place, or Kiryu's hits don't really feel like they're hitting, but it's definitely not game ruining. I think the biggest difference for me, and this was even a difference in Kiwami 1, is the combat. I think the combat in Yakuza 0, at least for me, was like a little confusing. There's kind of a lot to it. You can really spend like tens of hours just on learning the combat, unlocking stuff, really getting into it. And I think they simplified it a lot in this game. And I don't know if this is a hot take, but I like it. I think I was very overwhelmed in Zero, and I definitely didn't grasp it fully by the time I beat the game. And Kiwami 1, I knew going into the Kiwami games, because they are remakes of the PS2 games, they are going to still have remnants of a PS2 game. So, the side quests are not as deep, there's not as many mini games, and the combat is not as in depth. So, you can definitely tell that. I do think while Kiwami 1 has multiple styles similar to 0, I think I like that there is just one that you can focus on in Kiwami 2. I also think that the upgrading is much more easy to understand. I think in 0 and even a little bit of Kiwami 1, I was sort of confused on what I should be focusing on and if I'm really doing the right thing. And maybe that's just a me thing and other people don't have that issue. But I like that it is more streamlined here and I can focus on just learning what is essentially the brawler stance from 0. I think that's the right one, like the blue one, right? Because before you would have, you know, four different move sets that you're trying to get familiar with. But in this one, I think it's a lot easier to get your footing in, especially since with these games, while they all are still Yakuza games and are still all very similar, I feel like with each game, they make some slight difference that make me have to sort of relearn the entire game. And that isn't a negative by any means, but I think making it much more simple in this game, I think made it a little bit of an easier transition into this game than it was from Zero to Kiwami. I think getting into the side quests. Now I'm talking about someone who's played Zero first. I think a lot of people, especially in the West, are like that. They play Zero first, and then they play the rest of the series. And that almost does these games a disservice because Zero is so phenomenal. And these games are also phenomenal, but because they're remakes of PS2 games, they don't live up, I think, to the heights of Zero. I can though safely say that this game, I think I actually enjoyed it more than Kiwami 1. I don't know the community's opinion on that, so I don't know if that's a hot take, but I actually really liked the story here. I think that I'm not going to say any spoilers. I want people to go into this game completely blind, other than the gameplay you're seeing here, which is all just mini games and stuff like that. Um, but I think that the enemies and the characters and the motivations are a little bit stronger than Kiwami 1. But I think you do need Kiwami 1 to appreciate a lot of the characters, right? Oh my god, why is her name blanking on me right now? Your basically daughter, and I know you're not. It's not really her daughter, his daughter, but you know what I'm saying. Like, she is feels more genuine in this game. I think in the first game, it was I didn't have as much of a connection to her, but I think getting into this game, you being cemented as Uncle Kaz, Uncle Kiryu, I think that I have so much more of a connection with her. I felt really inclined to do the go get her treats and take her to do like karaoke or whatever. It Which I think is really important for a game like this, because I think a game like this, while yes, the story is great, everything in between I think matters just as much, if not more. I think the stories of these games run you about 20 hours on average, I'd say, like 17 to 25, I think, around there. And I think you're going to be spending the vast majority of your time, min-maxing your combat and trying to get a high score in karaoke or playing the mini games at Club Sega. So having strong side stuff and having characters to go along with that is really important. And this game, just like the other two that I've played, nailed it. So I'm really excited to go into 3, 4, and 5 and see what they have in store, because I've heard that at least 3 and 5 are really great. I know 4 has a little bit of some contention with it, I think. I don't know. I haven't played them yet. But I'm really excited to see where these characters go. Going back to Kiwami 2, though, this isn't a spoiler, but it is my biggest takeaway from the game. So I'm going to be talking about a little bit of the end. I'm not going to say anything that happens. I'm just going to be going off of vibes. But if you are really sensitive about spoilers, there's your warning. Okay. There's a song that plays after you beat the final boss. And it is so beautiful. I don't even think it's on Spotify. Or no, it is on Spotify. The original version's on Spotify. But I think that the Kiwami 2 version is so good. I hope I'm saying that right, by the way. Kiwami? Dude, that'd be so embarrassing if I've been saying it wrong this whole time. I don't know. But the Kiwami version is so beautiful. Like, it really is. It makes the whole story worth it almost in this moment alone. You go through this really intense, action-packed game with all these wacky characters, and the music is just this beautiful, soft, almost melancholy, sad melody that is so beautiful. And if you are really invested in this game's story, which I would imagine you would be, I don't know why you would be playing these games if you don't care. It doesn't hit the quite. It's not as sad, or sorry, I mean, it's not really that sad at all, but it's not sad like Zero is. Like when I finished Zero, I was just sitting there staring at the screen like, oh my god, that's one of the best games I've ever played. And this game almost gets there. Obviously, Zero is the peak, so it doesn't quite get there, but the music is such a nice touch. And then right after that, as the credits roll, there's like this awesome metal or whatever song that plays that is so good. And I know it's such a weird thing to harp on, but that soft, very emotional music into then that, this crazy, like, this guy screaming, and this like metal music as the credits play, it almost encapsulates this franchise as a whole, at least up until this point, that it's able to do, both things so well. It's able to be silly and dramatic at the same time, and not have that weird tonal difference or whatever, which I think is kind of the best part about this series. Like, that's what I mean when I say almost anyone can play these games, because I think that, maybe if you're not as interested in the main story, which shame on you, you should be, the side stuff is really good. And if you're not really into the side stuff, I think the story is so good. And I think together, which you should be playing this as a whole package, obviously you should not just be focusing on one or the other. It is a beautiful experience that no other game has been able to match, which is why this series, after so long and after so many games, still has people like me who are making the trek through the series despite being hundreds of hours long and there being so many games and it being such a daunting task. You play one game and you're in. Like that's all I can really say. It's just so good. All right. Backing away from that though. Yeah, I had a really fun time with this game. I think I liked it more than Kiwami 1. I don't really know. It's hard to say. I think these games might warrant a second playthrough for me to really definitively say if I liked it more than one before. When I will get to doing that, I have no idea if ever. But all I can say is I'm glad that so far, from 0 to Kiwami 2, I am not disappointed. I was a little worried after 0, like I've said before. I think it ends on such a beautiful note, and I think it sets the series up so good to the point where I was like, I hope it's not a letdown, especially since, while yes, they did release the remastered collection, a lot of these games are early PS3 games. So I was worried going into like that I would get through Kiwami 1 and 2 and be disappointed and then not even want to play these, in my head at the time, like these like jank PS3 shitty looking games. But man, I'm so... Let the truck go by. I don't even know if you guys can hear that. I assume you can. I'm so excited to start 3. Pirate comes out in 10 days. I'm so excited for Pirate. Comes out on my birthday. That's sick. So I'm staying home all day and I'm playing Yakuza Pirate. I know it's gonna be weird, like the time jump from Kiwami to Pirate. Maybe I'm gonna spoil myself with some things or not understand what's going on. But I want to be there. I want to be there for a launch. If I'm not here now, I don't know when I'm gonna be there because I have so many games to catch up on. And I think that this being, like a Gaiden game, like its own sort of little thing. I think that these 3 games gives me enough of a footing to where I will be able to enjoy Yakuza Pirate. And also Yakuza Pirate isn't turn-based. I'm a little worried of with Like a Dragon, the turn-based style of it. This game is, at least from what it looks like, similar to Kiwami and the other series where it's just brawler going crazy. Majima looks so quick and like he's flailing, like I saw like double swords or something like that, and there's like pirate ship customizations and like it looks phenomenal. I'm so excited. It comes out in 10 days. Right now, I'm trying to get through Cyberpunk before that game comes out. So I have definitely my work ahead of me when it comes to video games. But sorry, that was such a large sidetrack. Yeah, I know it's weird because I didn't review, or not review. I didn't talk about 0 or Kiwami 1 on this channel. Maybe I will. I don't really see a need to. So I know it's weird just seeing my perspective on just the technically 3rd game in the canon. But I guess really quickly, I love those games. I love this series. And this is one of my favorite series of all time. Even though I've only been playing it for a couple months, right? I think I played 0 in June or July, something like that. So it's got me. It's got access to me. By the way, this fucking arcade game that you're seeing right now, I don't know. I love the vibes of it. I love the graphics and the mech designs. I don't know what's going on. Look, I don't know how to control it. I don't know, like, you just see me flailing. So I don't know what's going on. I even looked at, like, the rules and stuff like that, and it doesn't, I don't know. Maybe it's a skill issue. Probably. I think that's all I really have to say off the top of my head. Great game. I'm super excited to play the rest of the Yakuza series. You will know if I complete my goal, because every time I beat a game, I'm uploading a little video here. So, next game I have coming up is Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I'm not going to spoil my opinions on it, but yeah. So you'll know if I complete my goal. All right, see you.